Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Inner Conquest, the world's greatest modern metaphysics channel. I'm your host, Jacob Edens, and today we are going to be discussing one of my favorite topics, which is wealth. So, when you think of wealth, what do you think of, right? Oftentimes, there's a pang in your stomach of maybe there not being enough, or you consider the different things that you need to do to accumulate more and how it's going to cost you more of your life force energy to go forth and do those things. So you weigh, is it really worth it with the time I have left, right? Or you have a much more positive framework of how it comes to you easily and effortlessly. The correlation between your relationship with wealth is understanding that in this reality, it is primarily identity based, right? And so when you look at identity, you want to understand, why does identity matter? Well, it's because you're in a game, okay? So if you're in a game and say you're playing Skyrim, good game. Okay? Skyrim is a game where you go into this world, you make your character right, you pick your race, you pick your gender, and then you start to build your character with different skill sets, right? So what type of character do you have? Oh, I have an archer. Oh, I have a two-handed sword guy. Oh, I have a spell guy, whatever, right? You build your character, and based on the way that you build your character and identify your character, that character can express itself in different ways, okay? So when you think of wealth, what happens is, and this is a primary metaphysical concern that you want to address, is you externalize your power into something, which you don't want to do, right? This is game mechanics 101, okay? You're playing a game, you got to decrease the importance level on life, because if you have too much of an importance level on it, your emotions will spike and they will make your thought process incoherent and not sane, okay? So you want to decrease all the emotional intensity, okay? Emotion is an effective tool when you apply it accurately in the way that you want to apply it. You don't want to react emotionally, because if you think of like you're trying to sail down the sea and then you have a bunch of waves, you can still do it, but the waves are going to make it crazy. And if you do too much wave, you're going to topple your boat and crash out, okay? So when you think of wealth, what you often link that with is potentiality. Oh, if I have this, then I can do these multitude of things, okay? So this is for your internal diagnostic of your internal thought processes and or assumptions about life itself. And why is that important? Because you want to work at the root. You want to work at the highest point of leverage when you're applying metaphysics to create a specific reality that is to your liking, okay? If you have a condition in your life that is external to you, that has to be fulfilled for you to go into a state, you are limited. You're in what is called a fear-based energy. You're in a limitation-based energy, because if I don't have this and I can't have this, you've already set up a false premise, because everything around you is an externalized thought. Is an externalized thought. This cup, somebody thought about it. Boom, it was made. This bottle, somebody thought about it. Boom, it was made, okay? So if I asked you, would you rather have $1 million or your mind? 100% of people would go their mind. But why? Everybody really wants $1 million. Everybody really wants this wealth. Why wouldn't you just give up your mind? It's just your mind, right? Because inherently, your soul understands that your mind is the creator of these things, okay? So it's the golden goose type situation. If you kill the golden goose, you get no more golden eggs. So it doesn't matter how many golden eggs you have. If you lose the golden goose, you're going to spend all the eggs. You're not going to be able to create more eggs, okay? So you want to understand the creative mechanism that you have, and you want to master that operation, because that creative mechanism can be applied to every dimension of life in a way that you can curtail and cultivate it to your exact standards and specifications, okay? So when you think about wealth, oftentimes the hang up is it's been externalized as a condition, okay? Oh, I would only have all this freedom and less burden and pressure if I just had all this money, right? So you've constructed a narrative that frames you. Remember, I'm playing Skyrim. I'm an archer. I shoot arrows. I'm a sword guy. I use my sword. I'm a motherfucking spellcaster. Here's frost spells, right? Your identity frames what you do. So you can also frame your identity by telling a specific story chronically. Oh, I need this to do this. Well, because you need something's permission, congratulations, you've identified as a slave because, please, master, can I do this? Oh, I don't have your permission. Guess I can't do it. So you have to think as a master of your own life, as an authority, as someone who understands that their mind can create fucking things when they focus on it. Based off of your identity, you frame the parameters of how your mind accesses energy and information. Man, I'm really tired all the time. How many people do you hear say that? Okay, you've identified as this thing. You've put your mind in your periphery, which is limited in its focus. What is focus? It is selective ignorance. You've put it into focus to ignore all of the ways in which you're energetic, which means that you can't appreciate the way that you're energetic in different dimensions of your life because you are now focused and or fixated on being tired. Meaning that when you take words at verbatim, when you say, I appreciate having energy, what else appreciates? Your money can appreciate, your value can appreciate, your house can appreciate, your car can appreciate, jewelry can appreciate. So what does appreciate mean? To become greater and greater and greater. So if you have a periphery in which you can't appreciate what you want, then you can't grow what you want. So if you're in a mindset of, oh, this thing is limiting me, your hyperfixation on the limitation is what is creating that, because rule number one of this place, what you think you become and what you focus on, you create. So if you don't have those two dimensions under your control, there's no way to slice it. You're never going to be able to operate properly. You can't think as if you are who you want to be now, then you have no ability to become what you want. If you can't focus on what you want, then you can't appreciate what you want and you can't grow and cultivate what you want. So if your focus and your thought are hijacked by unwanted circumstances, then you're trapped in a loop of unwanted. So in order to break that loop, you don't want to put your salvation in an external thing. You don't want to say, well, once I have this money, I'll be good to go. Or once I have this thing, I'll be good to go. Because those are external conditions that can be taken from you at any time. Meaning that if they take those things or you lose those things, you are vulnerable because you've empowered that thing in the same way that you've basically made an auxiliary organ that says, if I don't have this pretend organ that I made, my body's going to shut down. It's not going to shut down. You've stated this false reality, okay? So when you start thinking about wealth, you want to start thinking about the creation of reality itself. And what does it mean to actually be wealthy? It means to have a multitude of options and ability to enforce your will. Okay, that's really what it's about. Being able to do what you want to do and enforce your individualized solo will. I want to live in Barbados. Boom, just go and fucking get the house, right? So what you want is that ability to inhabit potentiality. So the way that you understand what it really means to be wealthy is to understand the multitude of different states of consciousness and or thoughts and or narratives and or identifications that you can cultivate within yourself to create the idealized version of the human that you want to be. Okay, that's real wealth. You have your all your potentialities and you have your willingness and your capability to execute and fulfill those potentialities. That's what that means. That's what being wealthy is. So don't correlate that with some fucking piece of paper that a bunch of dudes a billion miles away made a bunch of and convinced everybody that you need this fucking piece of paper in order to use your own mind, because you don't need it. It's a byproduct of their own minds. And the second that you realize that you bought into a narrative created by somebody else, that you need fun coupons to use your own fucking faculties, you're fucked, okay? So as you go through this process, you want to understand that you are more valuable than everything for you. Doesn't mean that that's not the case for everybody else. It means that your fucking mind creates things. So understand that at a core level. Master that process. And as you master that process, you can think as if you are the person that you want to be, and you can focus on what you want to create. Meaning that if your ideal objective is to be wealthy, what does that mean to you specifically? Oh, it means I have boatloads of fucking cash all the time and it never runs out. Okay. The reality experience of having boatloads of cash and more than enough is a state of being. It's not definable by a number. That's why you hesitate to put a number on it, because you know as soon as you get to that number, you might want more, so you don't know, right? So what is the actual tangible state of wealth incarnate? It's, dude, I always have more than enough. I have so much I can give. I can do what I want. It's never an issue. See how different that is than what do I need to do? I need to get wealthy. I need this right now. I need this, da 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 da. These are energetic stances. They're not necessarily programmed step-by-step guides to go get this thing. This is state of being because who you are is reflected. This is metaphysical knowledge. This is not anything you're going to find in a business book. This is understanding how your focus and your awareness creates and has a direct correlation with the external reality within which you find yourself inhabiting. And that's pretty important to understand, because if you don't understand that, then you're playing a game under faulty assumptions, which means that if you play Monopoly and you play it like checkers, you're going to lose to somebody who knows how to play Monopoly. So you want to get the base framework assumptions of how reality works, from dimensional spacing to, okay, I'm a fucking soul in my body, and I got this mind, and what I focus on creates and cultivates, and what I think I keep becoming and becoming more, okay? That's your base operative programming for the game. Just master that shit. Because what will happen is, as soon as you go, I'm wealthy, I always have more than enough, you will be confronted with the crystallized old versions of what you've been aware of and identifying as. Because the reason that you have a desire to have more wealth is because you've been identifying as someone who doesn't have that, right? So you go, oh, if I have this, then that will fix that. But what caused the situation in the first place? Well, it was who you were thinking you were and who you were focusing on as, or, who he or she you are. Maybe you were thinking that you were this thing and you were focusing as if you were this thing. So don't overcomplicate it like that. You were thinking as if you didn't have enough, and you were focusing on all the shit that proved to you that you didn't have enough. That's all you were doing. It's not that you were ever broken. It's not that you were ever poor. It's not that you were ever without anything. It's just a mental contraption, thought prison that you created. And that's what's pissing you off. It's the mental fucking thought prison. It's not the actual absence of these things. It's like having a fucking thirst and there being water outside, but then being like, I can't have that water. It's just not good enough. Like, it's just, you create a narrative that essentially, the issue with modern day wealth is that this is the deal, okay? Your will creates. You're an authority over reality because you are consciousness, meaning that you are a dictator of reality along with every other soul, meaning that if I want to create something, I have a mind and I can create it, and so can all of you, right? So if I have creative ability, but I'm in a place where I forget that that's how I create. So I come into a creative reality and I'm creating, but I'm creating by what you would call default, because I don't remember that that's how it works, right? What do? I create random knee-jerk things all the time. Oh, this is scary, right? You go through a process of just creating whatever you see in front of you, you regurgitate. Because you focus on it, you think that's who you are because you define yourself by your external reality. You don't define yourself as a soul inside a body because you went to a place where you got memory wiped. Big fucking fun game, okay? So you're in the situation, and now you've created an entire reality around what you've thought from your external reality, which people, places, and circumstances have told you who you are, meaning that you haven't dictated who you are. Meaning that you've gone into this place and you've just accepted all these other things because you don't know any better. And that's what everybody does. So don't think it's just you, right? So as you go through that, you start to go, hold on one second. Everything in my reality is just an externalization of what other people have told me and have been thinking and etc. But I never really decided that this is how I want it and stuck to it. I just accepted this and this and this, right? So as you go from that, what you would call survival mindset, because a survival mindset is I need things outside of me to keep going, right? I need to keep doing this. I need to keep doing this, okay? But that's not your natural state. Your natural state is a creator. No, I want this and I can create this because I understand that I have a mind, and what I focus on, I create, and what I think I become. So if I want to create something, I'm going to think as if I'm the person who has that, and I'm going to focus on a reality of where that's abundant for me. It's very simple, right? But what happens is if you have that same God power that can create anything, also bifurcated into another thought process of, well, this is impossible for me. Now you've got one engine going here and another engine going here, and you've got resistance because the two things are in direct confrontation with each other. So what happens is you are essentially what's called double-minded. You've got a mind that's fighting itself. So when you become decoupled from the limitation, now the engine can soar and you can go on a direct path to your goal. So many times it's about decoupling the counter engine that is moving towards you. That's what you could call a limiting belief, right? Because what is a belief? A belief is a thought that you think repeated over and over and over again until it crystallizes into your reality. A good example of that is, oh my God, my friend Becky, she's always such a bitch, right? Like every time you talk to Becky, she's be bitching. So the problem is that you have an assumption, right? And you could say that reality is an observed reality, that you have good hard evidence that every time she's shown up, she's a fucking bitch, and that's just how it is, right? You could say that assumption is predicated on the observation. But this is an inversion of reality and understanding yourself as a co-creator of reality, not a victim and a haphazard observer. You are a active participant in reality that is cultivating and creating the reality, right? If planet Earth didn't have any people on it, how fucking exciting would this place be? It would be fucking not that exciting because nobody would be creating or doing shit. So you're an active co-creative part of reality itself. Congratulations. So when you go into that environment, you have a fixed, non-contradictory belief. That's what an assumption is. A fixed, non-contradictory belief. No, this is how it is, and you can't fucking tell me different. Becky's a bitch. So once you understand that assumption frames the vibrational resonance, that things that are in your places, in your life that are correlated to people, places, circumstances, and events are all magnetically, vibrationally, harmonically aligned to different frequencies, meaning that if I'm angry, I'm going to get people who want to fight me and people who are angry with me. If I'm super nice, I'm going to get people who are super nice and stuff like that, right? Like your energetic vibration puts you into different realities based on who you are being. So if you have an assumption that this person is this way, that person reflects that to you. But if you don't understand that you create reality through your assumptions, through your beliefs, through your thoughts, through your identity, then you're essentially a pinball in a washing machine that just gets bounced around all the time. So that's really what pisses you off, is you get bounced around all the time and you feel powerless and you feel like you can't cultivate anything around you. But really what it is a Chinese finger trap, because when you have an unwanted reality, it's the byproduct of an assumption, a thought process, a belief, or something or that you have accepted is true about reality. You've said, no, this is true and you can't tell me different. Even if you did that subconsciously, even if you did that with just your energy, you've accepted this thing as true and you've said there can't be any other way around this thing. This is how it is, right? Even if you say with your words, no, I'm sure, no, like you truly at your core believe that, okay? So you want to understand that when you want to shift Becky, you shift your assumption and you shift your focus and you shift your identity. I'm the person who always has great experiences with Becky. Becky's always shown up nice. But what happens? Becky shows up and she's still a bitch. You're like, well, what the fuck? I changed my assumption. Well, you're in realm Earth world. So what does realm Earth world do? Realm Earth world does two things. Realm Earth world makes you forget everything when you come in. Second thing, it tries to fuck you up with having a time delay with what you create. So it tries to make you give up because there's a perceived time delay, right? So that's why you use different terms like fourth dimension, third dimension. It's all the same fucking dimension. But you have to understand the nature of the specific realm that you're in. You have to understand the nature of the specific game that you're in because the nuance matters, okay? So this place, the nuance of this game is that you forget who you are. So goal number one, wake up, remember who you are. Remember that you're in a body, you're not your body, because if you live as just your body, you're in fucking hell and you're vulnerable to everything, okay? So don't do that. Number two, understand that as you go through this process, all of your unwanted externalized reality becomes blatantly obvious because as you change your internal world, you're changing the projector, you're changing the film screen, but the movie is still playing from the past thing. So don't fucking worry about the old movie. Just worry about changing the internal film script. Just worry about working on your power positioning because remember, $1 million or your mind. Which one do you want? You want your fucking mind, dude. I'm telling you, you want your mind. You don't want to be a mindless person who gets caught up in these fear traps where it's not enough, this bad thing happened, boom, and you just loop all day on negative chronic shit. You want to understand that is perpetuated through your identity of who you're saying you're being and what you're focusing on. So if you can just, even at the basic affirmation level, I'm a perfect thinker and focuser. I only focus and think on what I want, right? You're going to wean yourself like a fucking drug addict off of these negative situations that you've been feeding off of, okay? And as you feed yourself with a mental diet of fulfillment, no, I actually always have more than enough. It's going to be like you've been eating McDonald's all day and then you fucking start eating healthy. You're going to be like, fuck this, I'm going to go back to McDonald's. But you can't do that because you said that you wanted to be fucking rich, okay? You said you wanted to have more than enough money. You said you wanted to be fucking awesome. So what does that person do? That person doesn't think about not having enough. They can't do it because they have more, okay? So as you think as if you have more, you're laying new tracks of neuroplasticity into your mind all the time that are unfamiliar to the current version of yourself. So it feels like it's wrong. It feels like it's not working. It feels like it's a big fucking lie. But it's not, because that's your old identity that has a certain bandwidth of periphery that's hyperfixated on not enough, and also has an assumption that things aren't going to work out. Things aren't going to do this. So the second you start going, no, everything actually works out for me. No, I actually always have more than enough. No, I actually can buy whatever the fuck I want because money is just a piece of paper and pieces of paper are just fucking paper, and my mind is worth whatever I say it's worth because my mind is a creative element of reality that what I put focus and attention onto externalizes itself. There's just a time delay and there's a memory wipe in this place, so I have to navigate that certain dimension. But as soon as I get that under wraps, then I can understand that the name of the game is really just persistence, and the concept coined as faith, which is really just loyalty to an unseen reality, because everything that is seen was once unseen, meaning that everything that's external was once in somebody's mind. So if I just hold it in my mind and I accept it as true and continue to persist and revise any type of situation that's not the way that I want it to, for the purpose of recalibrating my frequency and my consciousness to a version of myself that has what he or she wants, then it has to externalize through law. Your logic gets very sound, right? But when you're in an emotional state where something is your God, it fucking rules over you like a tyrant. So you have to break the tyrancy and you got to stand up to that thing and say, no, dude, this is like reality crystallized based off of what I've been identifying as and being aware of. And once you understand that, and also once you overcome that from an inner standpoint of a thought, emotional standpoint, you understand that you have the ability to conquer any state. You have the ability to overcome any state of consciousness. And once you get that, you realize that everything external is a byproduct of a state of consciousness, meaning that it's inhabited through your awareness and identity of being something. Boom, gets pushed out. So anytime you have something that's unwanted, you go, no, that's not gonna fucking fly anymore. I'm not inhabiting and being aware of that anymore. And I understand that because there's a time delay, that old movie script's gonna play out. But it can't last forever because I pulled the fucking energy source from it. I pulled the plug from it, right? I'm not focusing on not having enough. I'm not focusing on limitation. I'm not focusing on these things because I don't want to fucking create them. What's rule number one? What you focus on, you create. What you think, you become. Just master those two things, because once you do that, now you have the dynamic of interplay within yourself to overcome any single aspect of your reality that you deem not up to your standard. Not even what's right or wrong, just your standard of living, right? Because if you're playing a game and you can't enforce your will and do your standards, then you're a slave to that game. So you don't want to be a slave to the game. You want to overcome the game. You want to win the game. You want to figure out that when you die, it's not the end. You want to figure out that your mind creates shit and everything wants your attention because you're hyper fucking valuable. And what you focus on, you create. So if somebody can get a bunch of people to fucking focus on something, they can create what they want using their information, right? So you have to be smarter than that. And you have to say, no, fuck that. I am a dude or dudette and I create what I want to create because that's my right as an individual. And so as you do that, you'll see all of the places where you've given your power away and externalized things and go, oh, I can't do this because of this. But it's a fucking lie, because you can just go into that state and persist in that state, and it has to externalize. Unless your God power has two counterpoints where it says, well, I can do this, but it's probably not going to happen because of this. You got to kill that doubt mindset. That's a double-minded mind. It's a bifurcated mind, which means that if you're trying to make a decision with a jury and it's a split jury, does anything get done? No, it can't get resolved. So you have to resolve your internal conflicts, your internal limiting beliefs where resistance and contradiction is there. And the way that you do that is by generalizing. You go, okay, so what I think I become and what I focus on, I create. So I'm someone who has everything figured out. I'm someone who has everything figured out. And the more you do that, those voices get smaller and the realities get smaller, because you realize that they're dependent on your awareness of them. Okay? So, go conquer, guys. Linktree has all of the coaching. If you want to do a protocol, Modern Metaphysics is my base protocol. Then I have the Spartan 1, Human Optimization. If you want to go balls to the wall with optimizing your body, because you're in a body and your body heavily governs the amount of freedom that you have, because try to ride a bike with no legs, right? It's not going to work. So have a fucked up body. Your life's all fucked up too. Fix that as best you can. And all my videos really talk about that. But if you want to do a deep dive, the Spartan 1 is for that. Additionally, there's regular coaching and stuff like that on the Linktree. But more important than any of that, go conquer. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.